Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, August 21st. I'm Patricia Valone. Thank you for joining us. Well, a young life is snuffed out nearly 2 years ago. Today, police are renewing their call for information to crack the case. You'll remember that Amber Stanley was gunned down in her home in Kettering. Since then, there have been plenty of tips, but no arrests. Denise Douglas is joining us now with the latest. And Denise, tomorrow marks this actual anniversary of her death.
Yeah, still very sensitive and sad case for this community. And it was August 22nd, 2012 that Amber Stanley was killed in her home. And while police don't have a suspect, they repeatedly said at a news conference today that they feel strongly that they are moving in the right direction, but they just need that clue to help solve this case.
It's been nearly 2 years since 17-year-old Amber Stanley was gunned down, and police are still searching for clues.
Obviously, if there are persons in the community that have knowledge or have heard of any particular point of specific information relating to the case that they have not come forward because they've assumed or been reluctant to come forward with that information, we seek that information out.
The murder left the community in shock. Stanley, an honor roll student with her eyes set on medical school, was asleep when a gunman busted into her family's home in Kettering and went upstairs to her bedroom and shot her several times. Others in the house at the time weren't able to give enough detail on the suspect.
A big challenge is you don't have a true eyewitness to what had happened, and forensically, the case isn't very deep as far as in the forensics of what happened.
Since then, police, as you can see here, have canvassed the neighborhood several times, handing out flyers and talking to people to try and get new information.
There has been thousands of man-hours put into this case. We have looked at, interviewed, spoken with nearly 100 people, witnesses, persons that we wanted to speak with, some of them 2 and 3 times. And when you have to vet out that many interviews and that many leads, it's painstakingly slow.
And while police say they have narrowed the investigation down, they still have no motive or suspect, but are hoping as the community marks the anniversary of the tragedy, someone will come forward with the clue to crack this case.
And just a reminder, a $25,000 reward is being offered for information that leads to an arrest and an indictment. In this case, you can call Crime Solvers at 1-866-411-TIPS if you have information, and that's what they're looking for, plenty of information.
And do they ultimately feel they may be able to solve this case?
You know, it was kind of interesting during that news conference today. They kept saying they are moving in the right direction, and then my big question was, well, what does that really mean? And you know, while they would not say that they had a suspect specifically, they did seem to kind of insinuate that they felt that they would ultimately solve this case.
All right. Well, we are keeping our fingers crossed on this one.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Denise.
Absolutely.
Well, a Laurel man allegedly guns down his estranged wife's boyfriend and then attempts to kill himself. The incident unfolded about 10:30 Wednesday night near the 3300 block of Sudlersville South. Anne Arundel County Police say the suspect walked up to the car where the couple was sitting and fired shots that killed 39-year-old Howard Pop Jr. of Baltimore. Now, the suspect then allegedly left the scene and barricaded himself in a nearby shed. Officers found him suffering from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Neighbors here tell CTV that this is the first time anything like this has happened in the area.
When I heard the first sound, it sounded like I heard like they were laughing or whatever, you know what I mean? Because they, you know, they party or whatever, so I thought it was like firecrackers or whatever have you. But then when I actually opened the door, you could hear them crying and, you know, trying to help the guy that was, you know, hurt on the ground.
I was nervous because I didn't know if how many shots were fired, like, you know, if there was still going to be gunfire going on between the two, or, you know, so I just checked to, you know, my baby, and that was about it. I was like, I'm keeping my behind inside.
And police are not identifying the suspect, but say he is alive and facing life-threatening injuries. Now, authorities say the suspect's wife has a final protection order against him, and the two have been separated since July. Meantime, in neighboring Prince George's County, police have seen 13 domestic-related homicides this year. 7 in just the last few weeks. Well, a recent survey by the Maryland State Department of Education shows drivers continue to ignore school bus laws, further endangering students. With the upcoming academic year just days away, Prince George's police are making an effort to stop this. CTV's Stephen Graves has more.
It's estimated that about 80,000 students will ride these buses in the upcoming school year, expecting to get to school safely. Now, it seems as though there's one problem though. Maryland drivers aren't obeying the stop bar laws. But the county has come up with one solution to this problem, or should I say 4, and they're mounted on the side of each bus.
So 100%, it makes a huge difference.
18-year bus driver Michael Rutter knows all too well the dangers his students face when getting on and off the bus.
Last year we had so many close incidents that drivers almost run over all of the kids up on Marlboro that they're just not paying attention at all.
Operation Safe Cross, that's the new program implemented by county police, which will equip 20 new buses with 2 front and rear-facing cameras to catch violators.
We cannot have a police officer at every school bus stop. Therefore, we decided to use the latest technology as a force multiplier.
Maryland transportation laws require any driver to stop 20 feet, about 2 car lengths, away from any bus with a stop bar or signs deployed. It's a law most Maryland drivers aren't following.
Obviously, we're starting school next week. It's very important for us to ensure the safety of our students that are walking the roadways and getting on and off buses. And it's very important to us to make sure that they're safe.
Drivers who are caught by these cameras will face a fine of $125, but that's a penalty Rutter says is worth it if it means students are safe.
When they get that fine in the mail, they will know exactly what's up. A lot of drivers here just need to slow down and pay attention to what's happening.
For CTV News, this is Stephen Graves reporting.
And drivers can expect to see these cameras on 20 new buses on August 26th. That's the first day of school. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.